For over 40 years, the CBO has produced independent analysis of budgetary and economic issues to support the congressional budget process. The Congressional Budget Act of 1974 established CBO and instituted a formal process through which the Congress could develop its own budgetary plans. At the corner of 2nd and D Streets Southwest, CBO's offices are located on the 4th floor of the Ford House office building. You can also visit us online at www.cbo.gov. CBO publishes a number of products: budget and economic projections, cost estimates for legislation, and studies of major federal programs, policy choices facing lawmakers, and other developments and issues that have significant budgetary and economic impact. In releasing our products, we are committed to maintaining a level playing field, ensuring that our work is made widely available to the Congress and the public.
Each year, CBO's economists and budget analysts produce dozens of reports and hundreds of cost estimates for proposed legislation that are posted on our website. So if you want to find a CBO product, that's the place to look. CBO is strictly nonpartisan, conducts objective, impartial analysis, and hires its employees solely on the basis of professional competence without regard to political affiliation. CBO staff numbers 235. CBO does not make policy recommendations, and we try in our reports and cost estimates to describe the methodology underlying the analysis. For our analyses, we draw upon information from a wide variety of sources, including relevant research literature, data collected and reported by the government statistical agencies and by private organizations, and consultations with outside experts. CBO's chief responsibility is to help the House and Senate budget committees with matters under their jurisdiction. CBO also supports other congressional committees, particularly the Appropriations, Ways and Means, and Finance committees, and the congressional leadership. If you have questions about the budget process, or analyses, or anything on our website, please reach out to us. We are more than happy to answer your questions by phone, email, or in person.
CBO provides a wide variety of information to the Congress. Baseline budget projections and economic forecasts that cover the 10-year period used in the congressional budget process. Cost estimates for legislation, including analyses of federal mandates. Long-term budget projections, analysis of the president's budget, including its likely economic effects and their budgetary feedback, and analytic reports that examine specific federal programs, aspects of the tax code, and budgetary and economic issues. Each year, usually in January, March, and August, CBO publishes projections of budgetary and economic outcomes that are based on the assumption that current laws regarding federal spending and revenues will generally remain in place. Those projections, which are known as baseline projections, cover the 10-year period used in the congressional budget process. In addition, CBO produces a report on the long-term budget outlook in the summer that extends its projections beyond the 10-year budget window to the next 30 years. Those projections show the effects of demographic trends, economic developments, and rising healthcare costs on federal spending, revenues, and deficits. As required by the Budget Act, CBO provides formal, written estimates of the cost of virtually every bill approved by congressional committees to show how the bill would affect spending or revenues over the next 5 or 10 years, depending on the type of spending involved.
Cost estimates show how federal revenues and outlays would change if a legislative proposal is enacted, compared to what CBO projects revenues and outlays would be under current law. Most of the formal written cost estimates that we produce are prepared for committees when they report legislation, and we typically produce about 500 to 700 of those every year. Formal estimates also include an analysis of mandates imposed on state, local, and tribal governments or on the private sector. But CBO also produces thousands of informal preliminary cost estimates when committees are considering whether to advance legislation, when amendments are being debated, and to the extent we have time, at other stages in the legislative process. Those preliminary estimates can be confidential, but only if the proposal we are analyzing is still in development and not yet public. In contrast, All of the estimates CBO prepares for bills in the public domain are publicly available. One final note, because of the great uncertainty in budget and economic forecasting, CBO's cost estimates, as with its other projections, are constructed so that the estimates we report fall in the middle of the range of possible outcomes.
In addition to its regular reports and cost estimates, CBO prepares analytic reports at the request of congressional leadership, chairmen and ranking members of committees and subcommittees. CBO works with the requester and their staff to understand the nature and scope of the work that would be most useful to the Congress. All of CBO's work reflects the agency's commitment to objective, impartial, nonpartisan analysis. CBO works hard to be transparent. We've dedicated a portion of our website to explaining the steps that we take to be upfront and open about the work that we do. To begin with, CBO's publications go well beyond presenting results. Instead, we explain the basis of our analyses so that members of Congress, their staff, and outside experts can understand both the results and the methodologies used. Formal cost estimates generally include a description of their basis, the information that was collected, and how that information is used to construct the estimates. Many of our reports include both a description of the relevant research literature and CBO's modeling approaches.
It is important to note that the demand for cost estimates far exceeds our capacity. Under the Budget Act, we are required to give priority to requests that come from committees, with the Budget, Appropriations, Ways and Means, and Finance committees having first call on us. Therefore, CBO's formal written estimates are mostly confined to bills that are reported from committee. For requests from individual members, when time permits, CBO tries to provide informal feedback on possible direct spending effects, usually by phone or email. If you're seeking a cost estimate from CBO, simply submit your request with the draft language attached or the bill number referenced by email to costestimates@cbo.gov. That address is monitored by our Budget Analysis Division, and they will route your request to the proper analyst. If we can't work on your estimate right away, CBO will try to give you a sense of whether and when the estimate can be prepared. Finally, anytime you have a request for legislation amending the Internal Revenue Code, you should contact the staff of the Joint Committee on Taxation, also known as JCT. Under the Budget Act, JCT staff prepare the estimates of most tax legislation.